In the headlines, regional health ministers tackle problems facing the health system. Illegal building practices under the microscope, and DHTA approves of a recent suggestion by the tourism minister. I am Kenny Williams with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. First up, HIV, AIDS and cancer management are top on the agenda of OECS health ministries and permanent secretaries who have gathered in Dominica for a two-day meeting. Idona John Baptist has more.
The forum will examine the health status of the region and recommend ways to improve healthcare delivery in the upcoming year. Health Minister Dr. Kenneth Daru is the incoming chairman of the OECS Council of Health Ministers. He is advocating for universal healthcare coverage.
There are still many challenges facing us, and I've always said that new state-of-the-art hospitals and increased specialized care is not going to cut it. We need to get at the stage of universal health coverage, where these gains that we've made in terms of the new infrastructure, the new specialized services, the new cancer center, has to be accessible to each and everybody. We have already invested here in Dominica to start a pilot project as it pertains to national health insurance of $5 million, which we hope in the Ministry of Health is on standby to assist the Ministry of Finance in the implementation of this project.
Meantime, Acting Prime Minister Peter Seja has called on health ministers to explore solutions to the high cost of healthcare.
Of course, as small island states, we continue to grapple with increasingly high health care costs, and therefore we need continuously to search for proactive strategies to address the increasing demands for funding of medical care, especially pharmaceuticals. With the increase in chronic diseases, we anticipate that these demands will accelerate. Therefore, we are duty-bound to find a quicker and more cost-effective solution.
The government of Dominica is promising to clamp down on those who engage in improper and illegal building practices. Andrea Louis has more.
The word of warning came from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Housing as the government of Dominica remains fully committed to its Build Back Better concept. Following the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, authorities have been advocating for Dominicans to be climate smart in their reconstruction activities. The PS in Housing says the necessary steps will be taken to ensure that Dominicans comply with this practice.
We know as a country there have been a few instances, if I may say so, of illegal or unauthorized developments. And so more often than not, when you have the unauthorized development, one of the first things that you will find is people citing buildings in places that they shouldn't have been. Or if they should have been there, then the right engineering has to be done to ensure that the slope stabilization, the stormwater control, and all the other factors that you have to mitigate about is done in a very profound and in a very proactive manner. What we'll end up doing at the end of the day is to ensure that there are more rigorous and more timely intervention in terms of monitoring what is happening in our build-up environment. So it means it's going to be a greater focus and commitment from the building control officers, because they have to be on the ground actually monitoring in a very proactive manner what is happening in an effort to try to contain and restrain the unauthorized development.
Blackmore says the government has remained true to its Build Back Better practices, and this is seen in the construction of housing settlements for residents of Dubic and Petit Savan who were displaced last year.
So one of the first assignments that we had to carry out is to ensure that there were sites, there was land that was fairly safe for reconstruction purposes. Meaning that you wanted to ensure, coming from Erica, we had the experience of floods, landslide, mudslides, that those sites were free from those set of hazards. And of course, you still had to deal with the conventional hazards that we have to face. To do that, we had to get the requisite expertise from the friendly, again, agencies. We had the University of the West Indies, the Department of Civil Engineering and Surveying, as well as the environmental area departments, all brought in the requisite expertise. The government put in the requisite resources that were necessary, backed by ensuring that the technical activities were in place with very rigorous and stringent follow-through and monitoring.
The permanent secretary is encouraging Dominicans to adhere to the Build Back Better concept in an effort to ensure minimal damage from natural disasters.
As we at the state of our development now, where we're not just talking about best practice, but we have to be seriously engaged by the next practice. And so we expect to bring about a mind change. By a profound mind change, we'll expect the people's habit, the choices, the preferences will be of a higher level and at a better level of that as well.
Residents of Dubic moved into their houses in Center Grand Bay in July, while construction work on the Pedro Casas for Petit Savan residents in Bellevue-Chopin is currently ongoing. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In other top stories, Dominica is positioning itself to become one of the top fine flavor cocoa producing countries in the region. A three-member team from the Cocoa Research Center from UWI St. Augustine is currently on island to determine the genetic diversity of cocoa in Dominica.
What we want to do here in Dominica is survey the island for their cocoa farms, and from those cocoa farms determine the genetic diversity of the cocoa present in Dominica.
During the team's week-long stay, they will visit several cocoa farms to assess the different varieties on island.
So we hope when we go on farms to select trees, we're able to do a proper genetic study and determine not just the ancestry of these types, but determine potential trees that might be superior mother trees. That will be good for breeding programs. We're going to collect across all the different sub-regions of Dominica. So when we go on farm, we will do a short interview with the farmer, collect a few details with our passport data collection form, and ask the farmer to identify for us a potential tree that he or she might prefer, in terms of being the most productive tree or his best tree.
After the team's departure, they will maintain communication with the government on how to move the cocoa industry forward.
So what we then do is say to the ministry, hey, could you go back and look at these trees, and maybe you want to collect budwood and plant out. Maybe you want to make crosses between different varieties, right? You want to start your own germplasm collection to protect these potential valuable varieties.
A challenge of getting injured people out of the stadium during the World Creole Music Festival is one that has been frustrating the work of emergency responders at the event. PRO of the Fire and Ambulance Service, Wayne Layton, told a news conference re WCMF on Wednesday that people and vehicles have continued to restrict the movement of the ambulance at the event.
The exits are to be kept cleared at all times, no encroachment in the exits at any time. So we have the Red Cross ambulance and the Fire Department ambulance at the festival also. And their movement can be restricted sometimes. So we're asking persons to cooperate with the security officers as they tend to clear the driveways that those ambulances could go through. All sudden calls will be done via Cook Street and then head south.
Layton says plans are ongoing to have medical professionals on call at the event.
At the festival, we will be having 2 sick bays. One at the northern end, which is closer to the media center, and we'll also be functioning one at close to the pavilion, the players' pavilion, that's at the southern end. So we are hoping to have medical professionals at those sick bays. We are also partnering with the Red Cross, so we will have persons walking around also on the Red Cross ambulance, and other personnel will be on site.
Coming up, a service organization ends its mission by helping a single mother with her housing condition. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association supports an idea to allow visiting cruise ships to open their shops on the island's port to encourage more visitor expenditure on island. Idona John Baptist explains.
The idea, which comes from Tourism Minister Senator Robert Tong, is seeking to influence Cabinet to see the wisdom in that move. President of the DHTA, Ariane Perriman, told Channel 5 News on Wednesday she understands the sense in this proposal.
What the expectation is to keep the cruise ships docked in Dominica for 3 to 4 hours more than they're currently docking, to allow second and third departures of tours. This would work in several mutually beneficial ways. The cruise ships will create more revenue for themselves by open casinos from a certain time, right? And I think that is what is at the discussion level right now. So from a certain time in the afternoon, when the ship would already be at sea, it will still be docked in Dominica, generating revenue for itself, as well allow the visitors that were not able to disembark in the morning to disembark in the afternoon for tours, shopping, entertainment.
Perriman recognizes that there are several factors affecting the country's overall tourism revenue stream, including a slow off-season for cruises.
Currently, the situation, our high season situation is in regards to cruise ships, which similarly relates to stayover arrivals, right? So that more or less is hand in hand. But basically, the situation is we are busy for 5 to 6 months of the year. So we have arrivals, cruise ships arrivals, 5 to 6 months of the year. And then the other half of the year, we have absolutely no arrivals. So regarding cruise ship revenue, there's zero revenue for 6 months of the year. Many of the months that we do have arrivals, we have a limited service industry to supply service to the clientele that we have coming offshore.
Night entertainment is one of the sectors which she believes could improve if ships are allowed to open their shops.
This also can help Dominica create what I would consider like an artificial nightlife with a targeted audience. So I think there's several different aspects that we need to understand before we look at what the minister has said, right? Because there's a lot of thought that was put into it. It's proposed to generate more revenue for Dominica and also encourage cruise ships to come to Dominica in the quote-unquote off-season.
The last big budget humanitarian activity by a local child service organization has been completed. Andrea Louis has that story.
The community of Kulibistri was among the hardest hit from Tropical Storm Erica, and houses closest to the river were most heavily impacted. One such house, which was home to a woman and 2 children, both sponsored by the West Dominica Children's Federation, was completely washed away in the heavy floodwater associated with the tropical storm.
We wanted to help the family to be in a safer condition with regards to the height of the house, because during the storm Erica, the house that they had was completely washed away by the river. And so this time, having received the house from the Baptist Church post Erica recovery, the house was flat on the ground. So we assisted in putting the house on pillars to allow water to pass through under the house instead of hitting directly on the house. The pillar is 10 feet high, but about 3 or 4 is down below, so they're probably around 6 feet up right now, more than they used to be. They used to basically be flat on the ground.
While the Federation was able to add to the physical safety of the family occupying this particular house, there is still concern over the closeness of the house to the river.
That is the location where she has her land, so she was adamant that she wanted to stay there. So in staying there, we had no choice but to just assist in getting it off the ground. because we couldn't tell her to put it somewhere else because that's where her land is. These two children, they were on the project, Western project, since they were small. Normally the children start at a young age, maybe say around 5, 6. Mindy, the little girl, has had a very good sponsor that has helped them a lot. Josley, yes, Josley is the brother. He's actually on the national cricket team.
Owner of the house, Sylvia Parilo, says she feels a lot safer now that the house is on pillars.
I feel a little bit better, but because when it was down and the river was coming down, I was worrying. I didn't used to sleep. But I am very happy that it's although it's not so high, but I'm very happy it's on the pillar. When tropical depression, I doesn't sleep there because sometimes the heavy wind is shaking the house. I don't know.
And since Erica, has the river ever flooded or come close to your area when there are times of
No, heavy river not yet come. Last Monday we had a big river, but it didn't send water. But before Erica, the river used to just send, when big river come, it just used to overflow and come in the yard. But since Erica, we haven't seen that.
The project was valued at $6,000 EC. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And a trade expert has recommended partnerships within the private sector in order to see an increase in the performance of tourism and agriculture. Government's trade consultant Eisenhower Douglas wants the business sector to let their voices be heard so that the economy can perform at its greatest potential. He acknowledges that tourism and agriculture are the main drivers of the country's economic growth.
When bananas was at its peak in 1988, when banana was king in 88, our visitor expenditure was about $55 million, 1988. Today, our visitor expenditure is over $300 million. So while agricultural exports, and bananas in particular, while it has declined, tourism expenditure has increased significantly. And of course, many believe that there's more room for improvement because as with the Citizenship by Investment program, there are some major hotel plans on the way. I see a bright future for Dominica. But I believe that it is not something that is automatic. It's not something that we can be complacent about. It's something that requires partnerships. We have to continue to let our voices be heard so that eventually the potential performance of the economy can be closer in line with the actual performance.
What he thinks can also work is if Dominica looks at industry best practices to guide the way forward, a term called benchmarking.
We were once a major exporter of limes at the turn of the century. We were once a major exporter of bananas. I'm saying that in this post-preferences era, we want to be major exporters of certain items. And the question is, I believe benchmarking can help us as we try to be more results-oriented.
Meantime, Douglas is looking forward to the implementation of an agriculture policy and a trade policy to give direction to improving the agriculture and manufacturing sectors.
A substantial amount of work was done on putting together an agriculture policy. That consultancy has been completed. Of course, what remains is to get it into cabinet so that it can become policy. We in the Ministry of Trade, we're working behind the scenes to deal with the trade policy. Because in fact, there's a gentleman called Ricardo James, who was my predecessor as Director of Trade. Now, he had started work on a trade policy. Now, he left the ministry since 2007. He had started work on a trade policy. That wasn't completed, and we have not completed that work. And I've made the case that we have to complete it. So then we would have a kind of a strategic and a policy framework going forward in agriculture, enterprise and commerce, as well as trade.
That's news, your sports highlights. Next. Cricket takes the first knock. Vishal Singh, Jamar Hamilton and Rajendra Chandrika had solid performances with the bat as they helped the West Indies A team reach 509 for 9 on day 2 of an unofficial test match on Wednesday. Vishal Singh led the scoring for Windies with 161, Jamal Hamilton chipped in with 99 and Rajendra Chandrika 84. In reply, the Sri Lankan side made 128 for 4 in 40 overs to close off play on day 2. D. Karunarante scored 99 not out and N. Dikwela 38 not out. Next up, Trenice Hamilton broke the under-14 shot put record, updating it from 10.9 to 12.98 meters on day 1 of the Secondary Schools Athletics Championships on Wednesday. Preliminary results indicate Dominica Grammar School was in first place on 121 points and Castle Secondary second on 67. Defending champions Northeast Comprehensive are on 43 points in the girls category and St. Mary's Academy 28 in the boys group. The competition continues on Friday. In football, former champions Exodus Football Club handed league leaders Caribbean Cool Harlem United their first defeat for the season to move to the top of the points table in the DFA Flow Premier League recently. Exodus won the game 2-1 at Benjamin's Park on Tuesday. Romario Bergins opened the scoring for Exodus in the 34th minute to give them a 1-0 advantage at the interval. Marcus Moranci got equalizer for Harlem in the 53rd minute with Omar Phillips scoring the winning goal for Exodus. Romario Bergins was named the man of the match. Exodus now leads the points table with 15 points from 7 games played. Back with more cricket. South Africa defeated Australia by 31 runs, winning by a whitewash in their 5th ODI on Wednesday. South Africa took first knock and scored 327 for 8. Riley Russell made 122 and Jean-Paul Domini 73. In reply, Australia scored 296 all out. David Warner led the batting with 173. Michelle Marsh and Travis Head scored 35 apiece. South Africa won the 5-match series 5-0. Meantime, England beat Bangladesh by 4 wickets in their 3rd ODI. Bangladesh was bowled out for 277 for 6, Rahim 67 and Sabir Rahman 49. Set 278 for victory, England equaled that target with 6 wickets fallen in 47.5 overs. England won the 3-match series 2-1. More sports now. West Indies has dropped Kieron Pollard and Dennis Ramdin from their ODI squad for next month's Tri-Series in Zimbabwe. Both Pollard and Ramdin had poor performances in the recently concluded series against Pakistan. Pollard managed 43 runs in the 3 T20s and bowled 2 overs with 0 wickets taken. Pollard scored 42 runs in the recent 3-match ODI series against Pakistan, where West Indies lost 3-0. He took 1 wicket in 12 overs from 3 matches. Ramdin, who was recalled to the ODI squad, made 79 runs in the 3 ODIs. The Windies Tri-Series in Zimbabwe begins on November 16, where they will play Sri Lanka in a 1-day international match. Meantime, Pakistan is set to play their 100th Test match, a landmark game in more than one way, since it will be played with a pink ball and under lights at the Dubai International Stadium. West Indies and Pakistan will play their first Test match at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Thursday. First-class matches have been played in similar conditions in both Pakistan and West Indies, but the experience is still new for some of the players from both sides. Pakistan sits comfortably ahead of West Indies in the rankings table and is playing in familiar conditions. West Indies lost their most recent Test series 2-0 at home against India, and the margin could have been worse if not for rain. Finally, we can bring you results from the quarterfinal stage of the Soca Rum Dominate 300 Domino League on Tuesday. In Game 1, Riders 72 does 3 points, Baghdad 67 does 2 points, and Rabbit Hole 66 does 1 point. Game 2, Dolphins 83 does 3 points, Hurt Them 72 does 2 points, Maho 70 does 1 point. So far, Riders, Baghdad, Dolphins, Hurt Them have booked spots in the semifinals. That's all the sporting highlights for now. We'll see you in the next one. And now, your weather forecast.
Good evening, Dominica, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I'm your presenter, Marshall Alexander. We begin by taking a look at earlier infrared satellite imagery and what it showed. This area of convection across the southern portion of the region due to a tropical wave. Now, taking a look at earlier visible satellite imagery, what it showed. Multi-layered clouds across the southern portion of the island chain today, with some pockets of thunderstorm cells embedded within. Taking a look at earlier radar imagery and what it indicated, the associated scattered showers which spread across the central and southern portion of Dominica during the afternoon. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy, with a few scattered showers and possible isolated thunderstorms. And tomorrow's weather, apart from some early morning showers, the weather is expected to be fair to partly cloudy with the possibility of some afternoon showers. Sea conditions are expected to be moderate in open water, with waves peaking near 7 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers, you're advised to exercise some caution. For the next 3 days, fair to partly cloudy skies, with some scattered showers mainly during the afternoon period, can be expected throughout the next 3 days. For the rest of the Caribbean, similar conditions can be expected throughout most of the region during tomorrow, with temperatures peaking up to 34 degrees Celsius. Our international cities forecast: cloudy skies expected in New York, partly cloudy skies with some scattered showers can be expected in Miami and London. Some showers and thunderstorm activity can be expected in Caracas, with clear skies expected in Beijing. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:57 a.m. and sunset will be at 5:46 p.m. Please remember that we are in the hurricane season. For more information, you can call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit the website at weather.gov.dm. Thanks for viewing. Have a good night.
To end the news, a recap of the headlines. Regional health ministers tackle problems facing the health system. Illegal building practices under the microscope, and the DHTA approves of a recent suggestion by the tourism minister. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNews12thOct2k16. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Kenny Williams. To our viewers around the world, we thank you for watching. Join us